Hey, I'm NichBoy and welcome to Pocket for Friday, the 15th of January. Today on the show, news, esports in schools, and esports in life. It's the esports special. Here's what's been making headlines. Rainbow Six Siege is finally taking the fight to cheaters with their latest patch. A large portion of Update 1.3 was dedicated to anti-cheating countermeasures, which the developers have decided to keep unspecified at this point. Probably a good idea. They did, however, make their banning policy clear by stating that all cheaters detected by the system will be banned permanently. No more 3-day ban for first offense. Some military-grade discipline there from the French. Next up, and Kickstarter has unveiled its gaming pledge statistics for 2015. Across the year, nearly 1 million unique backers pledged $144 million to various game projects. Tabletop raked in around $89 million across about 1,400 successful projects, and video games scored a $46 million haul with 374 successful projects. And finally, the upcoming Hitman game is going fully episodic. Like, heaps fully. Despite previous insistence that the game would be complete upon launch, Square Enix and IO Interactive are once again changing their plans for Agent 47's new adventure by making it a truly episodic AAA game experience. When the game launches on the 11th of March, it will include a prologue mission and one location for around $20. From there, IO Interactive will deliver regular monthly content updates for $10 each, or $60 for the total digital package, with a full retail edition coming at the end of the year. I'm joined now by Hingers to discuss our last news story, because competitive gaming is on the curriculum in Norway. The Garns High School in Norway will include eSports, with some 30-odd students specializing in a single game and training for 5 hours every week. Half the time will be devoted to the game, and the other half to physical training for reflexes, strength, and endurance. Hingers, if you were in high school now, you would need to shave the beard. Right. But other than that, would you be playing the esports?
Definitely.
Yep.
It would be the only thing that would be like, because in high school, I don't know if you can tell but I wasn't super popular.
Yeah.
And I feel like this could have been like my in with the cool kids.
Yeah.
Like, what? He's got such sick APMs. Of course you want to be his friend. We're gonna hang out, invite him to parties.
You'd have like a letter jacket with a Norwegian like O with a line
like
through
a
it or something.
Jacket. Yeah. Have a gang. Mm-hmm.
So, I agree. Like, I agree that it's awesome. That it would be so much fun. Here's my one problem with it. Should it be offered as an option as a replacement to actual sport? Because as much as I hated sport in school, and this isn't a I did it so you have to do it sort of thing, by not making you play sport, you're not being exposed to soccer and tennis and swimming and football to see if you could potentially be interested in that. You just pick games. And you can get exposure to games at home, whereas it's way harder to get exposure to, say, team sports at home because you need to go find a team and meet strangers and that sort of thing.
I think you are massively underplaying the role that traditional sports play in our culture.
Yeah.
Because especially in a place like Australia, it's probably different in places like Norway and Sweden where they've got these like esports programs, but in Australia, you look at like the dominant culture is that of sport. Like you look at like our biggest heroes in Australia are cricketers, they are footballers. And so it's not like you're not going to be exposed to that,
But I think that there's a difference between knowing that it exists and watching it and actually doing it. Like, there's a difference between, like, playing soccer, having played... Like, I've played a bunch of sports, and I don't enjoy playing them. Like, I enjoy squash, and that's about it.
Oh, boy.
But, like... But the fact that, like, you are given the choice to instead, oh, no, go focus on this, which you already would be focusing on at home, is sort of like, and like I said, I don't know if I agree. I just think it's like,
okay,
that's an interesting choice.
Well, okay, so in terms of like the actual practicality of like going to school and then going to an esports class, I don't think it really is a distinct either or in terms of like PHP and physical training versus esports, right? Like they're still going to be offering physical things in tandem with sports, but they're going to be doing like physical reaction training as well and strength training because that's the thing. Like, if you want to be good at esports, you have to have a healthy body, right? Like, not necessarily, like, not 100%, but it's correlated, right? In terms of like your reaction speed, your just like physical ability to like maintain concentration. Those are all related to blood flow and oxygen in your blood and stuff. There is a correlation between your physical health and how good you will be at esports.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I think it's really good that they are doing the physical side with it. I think it's more. I'm just coming in from the point of view of like, oh, I reckon so many kids would pick that that it's like, it's shutting them off to a whole other thing. Like, I can at least go play a game of soccer when my stupid friend has a stupid birthday and decides to play soccer on the beach. I at least know what I'm doing because I played soccer at some point in my life.
But you could learn about soccer through playing FIFA. Also, I think the other thing you need to think about as well with this is that when you are sitting down to play esports as a 14, 15-year-old kid, you're preparing yourself for a life in 20, 30 years, right? Yeah. And you look at the way that esports is escalating, and it's getting bigger and bigger. It's not going to go away. Maybe football isn't going to be as big a thing in 30 years, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it's all going to be Call of Duty.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, I would hate that, but yes. All right. Moving on now to the best part of the show. It's Thing of the Day.
Thing of the Day.
Continuing with the trend of other games made in Fallout, Girl Plays Game has recreated Bioshock Infinite's floating city of Columbia above the wasteland.
Thing of the Day.
And now it's talk through time where you suggest a topic and we talk through it. Today's topic comes from Travesty James, and staying with the theme of esports, can you discuss esports acceptance into mainstream entertainment? And if it does it mean that gaming can be considered a sport, and can gamers be considered athletes? We'll start off with the mainstream stuff. How accepted is esports in your opinion?
Well, more and more. There's a company called Deloitte, and they have projected that for 2016, it's going to be a $500 million industry, which is
insane.
huge, right? You look at some of these prize pools. I think the Dota World this year was like 20 mil or something.
Yeah, it was like 18 US million.
Yeah,
which is just an insane amount of money.
It's crazy, right? So I think it's going to become more and more mainstream. Yeah, you always start with the money, right? Because that's how you get other people interested. Because once you have the money involved, then you get cable people wanting to do deals. You get like entertainment
advertisers and stuff coming in. Like you follow that money. And I think also like there is something to be said for. It's becoming more mainstream, but it's also like a bit of a cultural thing. Whereas here, we don't have it on TV. Like people outside of the gaming community, I'm still explaining to them what esports is. But you go to somewhere like Korea, like everyone at least probably knows what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's
like,
because it kind of launched in Korea at a time when you didn't have this complete democratization of media, right?
Yeah.
So like now, you watch what you want when you want to watch it, and you watch the specific things that are so segmented. Whereas back in the day, 15, 20 years ago.
You're just watching what's on TV.
You're watching what's on TV. And so when StarCraft blew up in Korea, it's on one of the kind of 4 major cable networks and stuff. And so everyone's watching it just because it's there.
Yeah.
And so you have this completely built infrastructure around that, where they build their internet, they build their kind of like tournament structures around the fact that you can put this on cable and make a bunch of money out of it. And so it's huge over there. Like stadiums, rock stars, it's crazy. Yeah.
And someone else in the comments a couple of days ago, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but they kind of asked the same question, but they were wondering whether or not it would ever become bigger than like traditional sports.
Well, you look at like the way that video games are now the biggest kind of entertainment industry on earth, bigger than movies, bigger than TV, etc. And so, it's totally going to be like that, right? You also look at the way that like, in terms of media, the only thing people want to watch live is sport, right? Yeah. So you think about how big video games are, how big sport is, and it's going to be like, of course, yeah.
I think that like it will be a struggle. And it's not a competition. Like it doesn't really matter. But I think that in order for that to actually happen, we need to kill off a couple of generations of people. It's the kids of the esport like players that like their generation. If it's going to be bigger than like traditional sport, it's going to be that sort of generation because they will have grown up with it the entire time. Like it's not going to happen in the next 5 years. It's not going to happen in the next 10 years. I think it's going to be a generational shift. But it could actually totally happen.
In terms of a barrier to entry as well, though, it's kind of difficult because when you look at a game like football, it's really easy to understand. You need to put the ball into the goal, kind of thing.
You can play it with a watermelon in your backyard. You can kick it once.
Sure, but then if you want to try and understand League of Legends, like try and explain League of Legends to your dad.
I can't, and you shouldn't because it's a terrible game.
And so you need these people to grow up with these kind of ideas in sports, or ideas of MOBAs, concepts of like RTS or whatever, first-person shooters, and then they can kind of graduate to understanding at a better level, and then you can kind of appreciate what these cyber athletes or...
That's why I'm saying we've got to kill them off. Like, I don't want to have those explanation conversations. Just kill them off and start with kids.
I would like to distance myself from Nick's comments.
So then moving on to the next part of the question, can gaming be considered a sport and are gamers athletes?
Well, we talked about this before when we were talking about the schooling things. There is a physical element to esports. esports. I don't know that it's as linked as the physical element to like traditional sports is. But certainly, you know, you can't be a super unhealthy person and be the best at esports. You just, you know.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I don't think it is a sport, and I don't think that professional gamers are athletes. But I don't think that, like, that's not a negative. Like, it doesn't mean you're any lesser. I think of it as a competition, and they're competitors. It's like chess, right? Like, you need it. It's primarily a mental thing. The physicalness comes from, there's reaction time and stuff, but also just the ability to be present in that moment for the whole time. But it's mainly a mental thing, and I think that, like, it's more of a competition. But I don't think it in that sense, I don't think it is a competition that it needs to be a sport. Like, it doesn't diminish anything by being a competition as opposed to a sport.
Yeah, I mean, like, these are just words that we've made up to describe these things.
I feel like in the spirit of the word, StarCraft, Dota, like League of Legends players aren't athletes. I don't think that you're an athlete, but that doesn't mean you're a lesser person. It just means you're not an athlete. Like, you know what I mean?
Tell that to my uncles.
Like, well, I mean, look, Michael's uncles, he's not a failure, okay? He's not an athlete, but he's a very good competitor who almost made it.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
All right, that's it for the talk through. Thank you very much. Travesty James, let us know in the comments what you think about esports and athletes and all this sort of stuff. Do you think it's a sport? Do you think it'll be bigger than mainstream sports? Let us know in the comments. And while you're there, tell us what we should talk through on Monday, because we desperately need your ideas. And while you're on the internet, make sure you keep on top of everything Good Game by checking us out on Facebook, YouTube, and iView. Want to meet fellow Pocketeers? Then join the Pocketeers Facebook group and Steam group. You can follow Good Game on Twitter at Good Game TV, follow Pocket at NichBoy, at Pierre, at GG, at Monkey. He's at Hingers. Then there are links to everything I just said in the description below. When is World Play back?
We are back mid-February, and we are back for the rest of the year.
Woo! And today's Thing of the Day graphic is sent in by Nicholas Brett. If you've made a thing, please send it in. And a big thank you to everyone who joined me for my contradiction live stream yesterday. We are so close to solving this weird Satan worshipper mystery. All the live streams from the past week will be uploaded over the weekend, so you can catch up and then join me on Tuesday to finish this mystery. Until Monday, NichBoy out.
Hello.